Hello and welcome to PondHub with Tim. This week I'm thinking about hot weather tips for amphibians. It's a lovely sunny day at the end of May and summer has arrived with a scorching heat wave. So now is a good time to think about how we make our gardens amphibian friendly during the hot, dry summer. It's always worth remembering that amphibians don't live in ponds. They breed in ponds, but they live on the land. And so if you want amphibians to thrive in your garden, yes, put ponds in, but you need to look at the garden from a frog and toad and newt's point of view and make sure that it's a good space for them to thrive. The greatest threat for amphibians, particularly in the summer, is drying out. Frogs tend to stay close to water and will go back into the ponds if it gets too hot. So I suppose I'm thinking principally of the toads that tend to range a bit further and stay on land a lot longer. And there are several things that we can do to make our spaces toad friendly for those hot, dry days. The first thing is to think about planting. And I've got here what I consider to be my toad forest. I've got a very substantial area of high dense planting. So as you can see here, this comes up to kind of above my waist. It's a wildflower meadow, and what this will create is a space where at the bottom of these plants it will stay cool, it will stay damp, and it's an ideal space for toads and frogs to hunt. They're ambush predators. They like to sit still and jump on things that walk past. So planting. We've got a fairly standard wildflower meadow here. It's got oxeye daisy, red campion, corn cockle, yellow rattle clover, vetch, trefoil. I mean, they're very, very attractive things and great habitats for toads. In my video on hibernation-friendly spots for amphibians, I already mentioned the virtue of having piles of logs. They're great spaces for all kinds of wildlife. During hot, dry weather, though, one might consider watering your log piles. What this will do is the water will percolate down and it will keep underneath the log piles damp, and that's wonderful for any amphibians that have crawled in there. You need to give this quite a good soaking so that the water can soak down and get to the base of your pile rather than just on the surface where it's going to dry off fairly quickly. These kinds of spaces are particularly important for your yearlings, those are last year's tadpoles, because they won't go back into the ponds to breed until a couple of years have passed. And in their first year or two out of the ponds, they are quite small and therefore very, very vulnerable to drying out. One of the defenses that toads use against drying out is digging burrows. Now, in order to do that, they need some soft soil to dig through. And so you can find ways to create areas in your garden where the soil stays soft. Now, what I've done here, I consider this big log to be Toad Hall, is I've bedded this on sand. So it's much easier for them to burrow underneath. And you can see here where they have indeed been burrowing underneath this log as a way to find some respite from the hot weather. So there you are. A couple of little warm weather tips to help the amphibians get through the summer months. Planting, keeping log piles damp, creating areas where the toads can burrow for safety.